The stadium lights burned white against the night sky, flattening everything beneath them. Faces, uniforms, dignity. Marcus Reed stood at the free throw line with the ball pressed to his palm, sweat sliding down his spine, the crowd buzzing like insects that found blood. From the opposing bench came the first laugh. Too loud, too deliberate. "Hey, ref," someone shouted, voice sharp with mockery. "You know, let him take all night?" Marcus didn't look up. He had learned not to. Learned how a glance could be twisted into defiance, how silence could still be punished. The ball bounced once, twice. From the stands, a chant rose, low at first, then clearer. A word he'd heard before, one they pretended was just trash talk, one the officials never seemed to hear. His coach didn't step in. The referee didn't warn anyone. The scoreboard clock ticked, and the sound felt louder than the crowd. Marcus released a shot. A whistle cut the air. Delay of game. The referee said flatly, eyes already turned away. "Shot doesn't count." Marcus stared at him. Not angry, not shocked, just tired. "You always got to make it about you," the ref muttered, barely audible, but close enough. Laughter exploded again. Phones lifted. Someone caught the moment, cropped it tight, stripped it of context. By the time Marcus walked off the court, shoulders burning, the clip was already spreading, caption twisted, laughing at him. He didn't know yet what waited beyond the locker room doors. He didn't know that in less than 24 hours, everything would be exposed. But as his phone vibrated nonstop in his gym bag, Marcus felt it. The quiet, terrible certainty that this time, silence would cost him everything. Marcus Reed had learned to read a gym the way some people read weather. The air told you everything: who belonged, who was tolerated, and who was already decided against. Tonight, the air was hostile. The scoreboard glared down. 5 seconds left, tie game. The opposing crowd stood, noise swelling, faces blurring together in a single expectation. Marcus wiped his palms on his shorts and stepped to the free throw line. His heart wasn't racing. It was heavy, like it had been carrying something all night. "Don't choke," someone yelled. He heard it, though he pretended not to. He bounced the ball once. The leather felt slick. "Take your time," his teammate Jamal whispered from the lane. "You got this." Marcus nodded slightly. He always nodded. Calm, composed, non-threatening. From the bench across the court, laughter broke out. Not nervous laughter, confident laughter, the kind that assumed protection. "Clock's running, ref." A voice called. "Were you going to let him think all night?" Marcus looked up then, just enough to see the referee's jaw tighten. The man glanced at the clock, then at Marcus, his eyes flat. "Play," the ref said. Marcus inhaled. The chant started behind the basket. Low, rhythmic. He felt it more than heard it. The way you feel a bruise before you touch it. He shot. The ball arced clean. Too clean. It dropped through the net with a soft snap. The whistle came late. "Violation," the referee announced. "Delay of game." The gym exploded. Marcus turned. "What?" The word came out quiet, confused. "You took too long," the ref said, already moving away. Marcus stood there, the net still swaying. He wanted to ask how long was too long. Wanted to ask why no warning. Wanted to ask why the clock had never mattered before. But he didn't. He walked back, jaw tight, chest burning. On the next possession, the opposing team scored. Buzzer. Game over. As hands slapped backs and confetti cannons fired, Marcus felt a strange stillness settle over him, like something had ended that had nothing to do with basketball. In the handshake line, a player leaned in close. "Guess you should smile more," he said, grinning. Marcus kept walking. In the tunnel, cameras crowded him. "Marcus, what happened on that free throw?" a reporter asked. He stopped, thought of his mother, of all the times he'd been told to be careful. "Professional. I played," Marcus said evenly. "That's all." The clip hit social media before he reached the locker room. Cropped tight. No chants. No bench laughter. Just his face, the whistle, the miss that wasn't a miss. Caption: "Ego cost me game." Inside the locker room, no one spoke. The coach stared at his phone. An assistant closed the door a little too hard. Marcus sat, unlacing his shoes, hands shaking now that no one was watching. His phone buzzed. Again. He didn't check it. Above him, the TV replayed the moment on mute. His image froze on the screen. Alone, misunderstood, already judged. Marcus looked away. Somewhere outside the room, decisions were being made about him, and none of them involved asking what really happened. Marcus woke to the sound of his phone vibrating itself off the nightstand. It hit the floor with a dull thud, but the buzzing didn't stop. He lay still for a moment, staring at the ceiling of his off-campus apartment, letting the noise stack up like an accusation. Missed calls, notifications, the modern version of a crowd pressing closer. He already knew what it was. When he finally reached down and picked up the phone, the screen lit his face in harsh blue. His name trended, not nationally, but close enough to taste. A sports blog headline filled the screen. Mental mistake costs Reed the game. Another clip autoplayed. Same angle, same crop. No chant, no bench laughter. Just Marcus at the line, the whistle, the freeze frame of his expression, edited to look arrogant, slow, guilty. The comments came faster than he could read. You're not Kobe. Refs don't owe you patience. Play the game, don't make statements. He locked the phone and pressed it against his chest like he could quiet it by force. A knock came at the door. Marcus. Jamal's voice. You awake? Marcus pulled on a hoodie and opened the door. Jamal stood there with 2 coffees and the same tight expression he'd worn since the buzz of the night before. It's bad, Jamal said immediately. Like bad. Marcus stepped aside. Come in. They sat at the small kitchen table. Jamal slid the phone across, already open to a video with 500,000 views. A commentator spoke confidently over slow-motion replay. Look at the body language. The man said, that's entitlement. Refs are cracking down on that this season. Marcus let out a short breath. He didn't hear them. Jamal nodded. I know. They never do, Marcus said. Another notification popped up. This one from a university. Statement from athletic department. We support our officials and student athletes and are reviewing last night's game. That's it. Marcus asked. That's all, Jamal said. Coach says don't post. Don't respond. Let it pass. Marcus laughed once. It came out wrong. Let what pass? His phone buzzed again. This time, a message from an unknown number. You embarrass yourself on national TV. Then another. Should have kept your head down. Marcus stared at the screen until the words blurred. Across town, his mother watched the clip on her tablet. Volume turned low. Denise Reed didn't need to hear the commentary to understand it. She lived long enough to recognize the pattern. The way stories got shaped, the way boys like her son were flattened into lessons. She called him immediately. Marcus, she said when he answered. Baby, are you okay? I'm fine, he lied. Listen to me, she said gently. I know what you're thinking. Don't fight this in public. Don't give them more to use. They already use me, Marcus said. A pause. I know, she said softly. But sometimes surviving means staying quiet. Marcus looked at the muted TV across the room, his face on replay. Again. I stayed quiet last night, he said. It didn't help. On campus, the energy shifted before noon. Whispers followed him through the hallway. A teammate clapped his shoulder too hard and said, Tough break, man. Without meeting his eyes, another avoided him completely. In a study room, 2 students watched the clip and laughed, then went silent when they saw Marcus standing in the doorway. Hey, one said awkwardly. Didn't see you there. Marcus nodded once and kept walking. At noon, the athletic director's assistant emailed him a meeting request. No subject line, no context. At 1, a local radio host joked about discipline problems. At 2, a former alum tweeted, talent wasted by attitude. By mid-afternoon, Marcus realized the story wasn't slowing down. It was solidifying. He sat on the bleachers in the empty practice gym, hands clasped, listening to the echo of his own breathing. Every version of events being told about him sounded confident. Clean. Final. Jamal sat beside him. You can say something, he said quietly. Just Careful, measured. And if I don't? Jamal shrugged. Then this becomes the truth. Marcus closed his eyes. He thought about the chant, the ref's voice, the way no one stepped in. He thought about how easy it was to erase context and how hard it was to put it back. His phone buzzed again. This time, a message from an unfamiliar email address. If you're willing to talk off the record, I have questions about last night. Marcus stared at the screen. For the first time since the whistle, the noise paused. He didn't know who the sender was yet, or what it would cost to answer, but he knew one thing with terrifying clarity. If he stayed silent now, this version of him would be the one that lasted. He typed 3 words. When can we talk? And hit send. The conference room smelled like coffee that had been reheated too many times. Marcus noticed it immediately, how the bitterness lingered in the air, how it coated the back of his throat before anyone spoke. He sat at the far end of the long table, hands folded, posture straight. Across from him, the athletic director, Paul Whitman, adjusted his tie for the 3rd time in 2 minutes. The university's legal counsel sat to Whitman's right, a slim woman with a yellow legal pad and a pen that hadn't stopped moving since Marcus walked in. Coach Daniels leaned against the wall, arms crossed, eyes fixed somewhere above Marcus's head. Marcus, Whitman began, voice warm in the way administrators practice. We appreciate you coming in on short notice. Marcus nodded. I was told it was mandatory. A flicker passed across Whitman's face. Procedural, he said. Nothing punitive. Not yet, Marcus thought. The lawyer cleared her throat. We want to discuss last night's incident and the media attention surrounding it. Incident, Marcus repeated quietly. Whitman smiled thinly. The free throw situation. Marcus waited. The conference office reached out this morning. Whitman continued. They're standing by the officiating crew's report. What does the report say? Marcus asked. The lawyer answered without looking up. That you exceeded the allotted time and responded with visible agitation when corrected. Marcus felt something tighten in his chest. Agitation? Coach Daniels shifted. Marcus, they're saying you argued. I said one word. Marcus said, I asked what? Whitman raised a calming hand. This isn't about semantics. No, Marcus said evenly. It's about accuracy. Silence settled over the table. The lawyer finally looked up. Marcus, optics matter. Right now, the narrative isn't true, Marcus said. Whitman sighed as if burdened. Truth can be complicated in public spaces. Marcus stared at him. It didn't seem complicated when the chant started. Coach Daniels flinched. Marcus, did you hear it? Marcus asked, turning to him. Because I did. Everyone did. Coach Daniels exhaled slowly. I didn't think escalating would help. So you did nothing, Marcus said. Whitman leaned forward. Let's be clear. No official complaint was filed during the game. By who? Marcus asked. Me. By anyone, Whitman said. Marcus laughed, sharp and humorless. Because we all know how that goes. The lawyer tapped her pen. Marcus, our concern is risk. Sponsors are calling. Alumni are emailing. They want reassurance that our athletes understand decorum. Marcus felt heat rise in his neck. Decorum, he said. Is that what you call letting it happen? Whitman's voice cooled. Watch your tone. There it was. The line. Marcus leaned back in his chair. My tone wasn't the problem last night. Another pause. Longer this time. Whitman glanced at the lawyer, then back at Marcus. The conference is considering a formal warning. For what? Marcus asked. For conduct detrimental to the sport. Marcus blinked. I took a free throw. You delayed the game, the lawyer said. Because I was being heckled, Marcus said, and the ref ignored it. Coach Daniels finally spoke. Marcus, if this becomes a bigger issue, it could affect your minutes, your draft prospects. There it was, the real threat. Marcus nodded slowly. So this is about protecting the program. Whitman didn't deny it. We all benefit when things stay contained. Marcus stood. The chair legs scraped loudly against the floor. You want containment? He said. Then you should have stopped on the court. Whitman's jaw tightened. Sit down. No, Marcus said. I think I'm done. He turned toward the door and nearly collided with a man stepping inside. Middle-aged, crisp suit, conference badge clipped to his lapel. Ah, the man said, smiling without warmth. Marcus Reed. Whitman straightened instantly. Mr. Keller, we were just... Finishing, Marcus said. Keller extended a hand. I'm here to ensure cooperation, he said. From all parties. Marcus didn't shake it. I've been cooperative. Keller's smile didn't fade. That depends on perspective. As Marcus walked out, he heard Whitman say, He's emotional. Keller replied, That's unfortunate. In the hallway, Marcus leaned against the wall, breathing hard. He hadn't raised his voice, hadn't cursed, hadn't accused anyone by name. And still, he could feel the labels settling onto him. Emotional, difficult, risk. His phone buzzed. A text from Jamal. They're talking about you like you're the problem. Marcus typed back. I know. Another message appeared. This one from the unknown journalist. They're circling. If you want the truth out, we need to move fast. Marcus looked back at the closed conference room door, at the polished wood, the muffled voices inside. Power like quiet rooms, he realized, like decisions made without witnesses. He straightened, pushed off the wall, and started walking. If they wanted silence, they'd chosen the wrong moment to demand it. Marcus sat in the backseat of the rideshare, watching campus slide past in fragments. Brick buildings, leafless trees, students walking in clusters that parted without noticing him. The driver had the radio on low. A sports talk segment drifted through the car, his name mentioned once, then dissected. He's got to learn, the host said. This isn't about race. It's about discipline. Marcus stared out the window. The glass reflected his face back at him, split by streetlights. He didn't look angry. He looked older. The journalist's office was smaller than Marcus expected. No newsroom buzz. Just a desk, 2 chairs, and a wall cluttered with old press passes and taped notes. The man, Ethan Cole, rose to greet him. Thanks for coming, Ethan said. I know you were advised not to. I wasn't advised, Marcus said. I was warned. Ethan nodded. That tracks. They sat. Ethan clicked on a recorder and set it between them, then paused. Before we start, this can stay off the record if you want, or background only. Marcus looked at the recorder, thought of the conference room, the careful words, the threats dressed as concern. No, Marcus said. Put on. Ethan raised his eyebrows. You're sure? Marcus nodded. I'm tired of being summarized. Ethan leaned back. Okay, then tell me what happened. From your point of view. Marcus spoke slowly at first. About the chant. About the bench. About the way the referee's eyes slid past the noise like it didn't exist. I've been heckled before, Marcus said. That wasn't heckling. That was permission. Ethan didn't interrupt. He just listened. And when I asked what I did wrong, Marcus continued, I was already the problem. The interview ran 40 minutes. When it ended, Marcus felt wrung out, but lighter, too, like he'd set something down he'd been carrying alone. The article went live that evening. It wasn't explosive. It didn't accuse. It laid out facts, patterns, quotes from rule books, a quiet dismantling of the official version. By nightfall, the backlash arrived. Marcus's phone lit up with messages. Not just strangers now. Teammates. Why'd you go to the press? You're making us all look bad. Coach isn't happy. Coach Daniels called an hour later. You blindsided us, the coach said, voice tight. I told the truth, Marcus replied. You told your truth, Daniels corrected. And now we're dealing with consequences. Me too, Marcus said. Daniels exhaled. Sponsors pulled a meeting. Just be prepared. The next morning, Marcus's locker was empty. Not cleared out, just moved to the end of the room, away from the cameras, away from the center. Jamal found him standing there, staring. They didn't say anything? Marcus shook his head. Practice was different. Fewer passes, shorter looks. When Marcus missed a shot, the silence felt louder than boos. Afterward, A graduate assistant handed him a folded paper. "Coach wants you to have this." It was a notice. Temporary suspension from media appearances. Internal review pending. No accusation. No timeline. At noon, his agent called. "I'm getting nervous calls," she said. "Teams don't like controversy." "So I should have shut up," Marcus said. "I'm saying this isn't fair," she replied. "But it's real." That afternoon, Marcus walked across campus with his hood up. He heard whispers, some supportive, most not. There he is. He's playing the victim. Always something. In the student center, a TV replayed a panel discussion. For men, no women, no players. "This generation is too sensitive," one said. "Everything's a slight." Marcus turned away. That night, he went to his mother's house. Denise opened the door and pulled him into a hug before he could speak. "I saw the article," she said. "I'm proud of you." He laughed weakly. "I think I broke my career." She pulled back, looked him in the eye. Careers can be rebuilt. Self-respect is harder. They sat at the kitchen table, the same one where she'd helped him with homework years ago. "I'm scared," Marcus admitted. "I know," she said. "What if they freeze me out?" he asked. "What if this follows me?" "It will," Denise said honestly, "but so will the truth." His phone buzzed. A notification from Ethan. "We're hearing from former players." Quietly. Same ref. Same language. Marcus stared at the screen. Across town, in an office with no windows, Whitman reviewed emails. Donors upset. Others relieved. The word liability appeared more than once. At the conference office, a file was reopened. Not publicly. Not yet. Marcus lay awake that night, exhaustion humming in his bones. He'd spoken, and the cost was already tallying up. But beneath the fear, something else stirred. He wasn't alone anymore. And once the silence broke, it didn't know how to put itself back together. Ethan Cole didn't call this time. He texted a single word. "Found." Marcus read it 3 times before replying. "Found what?" The answer came with a secure link and a warning. Not safe to open on public Wi-Fi. Marcus waited until he was home. Curtains drawn, laptop open. The file unfolded into scanned documents, screenshots, and handwritten notes. Evidence with a paper smell. The kind institutions trusted when they wanted to bury something and feared when it resurfaced. The first document was a complaint, dated 4 years earlier. Different school, same referee. Player described as aggressive in demeanor. Despite no technical fouls recorded, Marcus scrolled. Another complaint, 2 years later. Same language, tone issues, body language, failure to comply promptly. None of the players named were white. His stomach tightened. Ethan called. "I didn't go looking for him," he said. "He found me. Patterns always do." "How many?" Marcus asked. "Enough to make coincidence work overtime." Marcus rubbed his face. "Why wasn't this public?" "Because each case was treated as isolated," Ethan said. "Different schools, different conferences. Nobody connects dots they don't want connected." Marcus leaned back. The room felt suddenly smaller. "Who else knows?" he asked. "Right now?" Ethan said, "You, me, and a former compliance officer who got tired of being told to rewrite language." A pause. "He wants to talk," Ethan added. "Off the record. For now." They met in a diner off the highway. Vinyl booths, burnt coffee, a place no one looked twice at. The former compliance officer, Ray Alvarez, sat with his back to the wall. "I'm not here to be a hero," Ray said, voice low. "I'm here because I'm done pretending this is random." He slid a folder across the table. Inside were emails, threads with subject lines like optics and de-escalation strategy. "This is how it works," Ray continued. "If a ref has a complaint, we educate him. If a player has a complaint, we counsel him." Marcus swallowed. Which means the ref keeps working," Ray said, "and the player learns to behave." Ethan's pen moved fast. "They'll say this is procedural," Ray went on, "that nobody intended harm, that intent matters more than impact." Marcus stared at the folder. "And what do you say?" Ray met his eyes. "I say intent hides in repetition." The next 48 hours blurred into quiet coordination. Ethan verified documents, cross-checked names, called former players who spoke only after midnight, voices shaking, asking what would happen if they talked. "I don't want to be that guy again," one said. "The difficult one." Marcus listened to the recordings later, chest tight. Different voices, same fear. On campus, the shift was subtle but real. A teammate sat beside Marcus in the locker room for the first time in days. "I saw something," he said, not meeting Marcus's eyes. "About that ref." Marcus nodded. "Yeah." Another teammate followed. "My cousin played in his conference," he said quietly. Said the same stuff happened. Word traveled faster than statements ever did. At the athletic department, emails multiplied. Requests for comment. Questions no one had answers for yet. Whitman called Marcus into his office again. This time, the lawyer was there, and someone else, a woman Marcus didn't recognize, introduced only as conference relations. "We understand you've been in contact with the media," Whitman said. Marcus smiled faintly. "You understood that last time." The woman leaned forward. "We're asking for cooperation," she said. "For patience." "With what?" Marcus asked. "An internal review," Whitman said quickly. Marcus looked at them. "Is the ref suspended?" Silence. "So," Marcus said, "patience means wait quietly while nothing happens." Whitman's jaw tightened. "This is bigger than you." "That's the problem," Marcus said. "It always is." That night, Ethan published a follow-up, not the full story. Not yet. Just a question. How many isolated incidents make a pattern? The response was immediate. National outlets reached out. Former players tweeted vague confirmations. A retired coach liked the article, then unliked it 10 minutes later. The conference issued a statement before dawn. "We take all allegations seriously and are reviewing historical records." Historical, like it was already over. Marcus sat on his couch, phone in hand, watching the statement circulate. He felt the old fear of being crushed by something too large to fight, but it was layered now with something sturdier. They were responding. His mother called. "They're talking about it on the news," she said. "Careful talk," Marcus replied. "Still talk," she said. "That matters." At midnight, Ethan sent one more message. "Tomorrow we go all in. Names. Documents. On the record. Are you ready?" Marcus didn't answer right away. He thought of the locker move, the whispers, the cost already paid. He thought of the voices in the recordings, the repetition, the way power relied on people being tired. He typed back, "Yes." Across the city, lights burned in offices long past closing. Lawyers rehearsed phrases. Administrators prepared apologies that said nothing and everything at once. And in a system built on quiet compliance, the sound of receipts being stacked felt dangerously loud. The hearing room was too bright. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, flattening everyone into the same pale tone, as if neutrality could be manufactured by bulbs and seating charts. Marcus sat at the long table with Ethan to his left and a conference-appointed advisor to his right, a man who introduced himself as impartial and spoke like a memo. Across the room, the referee sat alone, hands folded, posture relaxed. He looked bored, or practiced. Rows of chairs behind him filled with observers, administrators, compliance staff, a few reporters allowed in under strict rules. No cameras, no live stream. Accountability preferred privacy. The chair of the panel cleared her throat. This proceeding is to determine whether conference policies were followed and whether corrective measures are warranted. Marcus heard the words and felt the gap between them and the night on the court widen. The referee spoke first. Calm, confident. "I followed protocol," he said. "The player exceeded the allotted time. I issued a standard violation." Ethan leaned forward. "Did you issue a warning?" "Warnings are discretionary," the referee replied. "Did you hear the chant?" Ethan asked. The referee paused. "Crowd noise is constant. I focus on gameplay." "So you didn't hear it?" Ethan said. "I didn't consider it relevant." The referee corrected. Marcus felt the room tilt. Relevant. The words settled like dust. Ethan slid a document across the table. Complaint dated 4 years ago. Same language you used here. Aggressive demeanor. No technical fouls in either. The referee glanced down. I don't recall. Here's another, Ethan continued. 2 years later. Different school. Same phrasing. The chair interjected. Mr. Cole, we're not here to retry history. With respect, Ethan said evenly, history is on trial. A murmur rippled through the room. The referee straightened. This feels like an ambush. Marcus couldn't help it. He spoke. It felt like one on the court, too. The chair looked at him. Mr. Reed, you'll have your turn. Marcus nodded, jaw tight. When it was his turn, he stood. The room felt smaller from up there, but his voice didn't shake. I didn't delay the game, Marcus said. I was being targeted and no one intervened. When I asked why, I was punished. Do you have proof of intent? The chair asked. Marcus swallowed. Intent shows up when the same thing keeps happening to the same kind of people. The referee smiled faintly. That's speculation. Ethan stood again. We have emails, he said, from a former compliance officer, discussing managing optics when complaints arise. The advisor beside Marcus shifted. The chair frowned. Those emails were not submitted in advance. They were obtained yesterday, Ethan replied, because that's how long it took for someone to feel safe enough to share them. Silence stretched. The chair whispered with another panelist. Outside the room, phones vibrated. Word was spreading despite the rules. A reporter typed without looking up. Somewhere, a producer decided this wasn't a local story anymore. The referee was asked about the language he used in reports. Tone issues. Failure to comply promptly. The chair read aloud. What do these terms mean operationally? They're observations, he said. Professional judgment. Applied evenly? Ethan asked. The referee hesitated. Just a beat too long. I treat all players the same. Ethan placed a chart on the table. Names redacted. Data clean. These are your calls over 6 seasons. Discretionary violations by race. Adjusted for minutes played. The room leaned in as one. The referee's jaw tightened. Statistics can be misleading. So can summaries, Marcus said quietly. The chair cleared her throat again. We will take a recess. In the hallway, the air buzzed. Administrators huddled. Phones rang. The referee stood apart, talking to a man Marcus recognized from conference relations. They didn't look worried. They looked annoyed. Jamal texted Marcus from outside the building. I'm here. They're saying this might go public. Marcus typed back. It already is. When the panel returned, the tone had shifted. Less procedural. More cautious. We are recommending a temporary suspension pending further review, the chair said, and mandatory retraining. The referee's smile vanished. On what grounds? On patterns, the chair replied. Not guilt, not harm. Patterns. Marcus felt no triumph. Only a dull ache. Temporary. Pending. Words that kicked again just far enough to calm a room. Afterward, Whitman approached Marcus, face carefully arranged. This didn't have to get adversarial. Marcus met his eyes. It didn't have to happen. Outside, cameras waited despite the rules. Microphones rose. Marcus. A reporter called. Do you feel vindicated? Marcus paused. Thought of the locker move. The threats. The nights of not sleeping. I feel heard, he said. That's different. Another reporter shouted. What about the cost of your career? Marcus looked straight into the lens. Ask me again after the truth finishes speaking. As he walked away, Ethan fell into step beside him. They're asking for more, he said quietly. Former players. Records. Marcus nodded. Good. Behind them, the building hummed with damage control. Ahead, the night opened, uncertain, charge alive. For the first time since the whistle, Marcus felt the weight shift. Not gone, but moving. The story broke at 6:12 a.m. Marcus knew the exact time because his phone lit up all at once. Alerts stacking, vibrating, chiming like a fire alarm that wouldn't stop. National outlets. Cable banners. Push notifications that use his name without asking permission. Conference suspends referee after pattern complaints former players corroborate bias claims. Inside the call, that sparked a reckoning. He sat on the edge of his bed, phone in hand, the morning light thin and gray. For a long moment, he didn't open anything. He listened instead to the quiet of his apartment, to his own breathing, to the strange calm that followed a storm you've been bracing for too long. Jamal burst in without knocking. "You see this?" he asked, already laughing, already shaking his head. "Man, it's everywhere." Marcus nodded. "I see it. On TV." A panel debated the meaning of the suspension. One analyst called it overdue. Another called it performative. A third said, "This is about accountability." Marcus turned the volume down. His agent called next. "Phones are ringing again," she said. "Different tone this time." "Good different?" Marcus asked. "Careful different," she replied. "Teams want to know how you'll handle pressure." Marcus almost laughed. "I think we answered that." At the athletic department, the scramble was visible. A new statement dropped before noon. Longer, more careful, heavy with phrases like commitment to equity and learning opportunity. The same words, rearranged. Whitman emailed Marcus directly. "Let's talk." Marcus didn't answer. On campus, the energy shifted in a way that felt physical. People stopped whispering. Some nodded at him. Others looked away, embarrassed. A professor asked him to speak to a class about leadership. He declined. At practice, Coach Daniels pulled him aside. "I should have said something sooner," he said, not quite meeting Marcus's eyes. Marcus studied his face. The sincerity was there, late, but there. "I know," he said. "So should you next time?" They practiced hard. No favors, no punishments, just basketball. That afternoon, Ethan sent a message. "We're running the long piece tonight. Names, receipts, full context." Marcus replied with one word. "Okay." When the article published, it read like a map, each complaint connected, each phrase traced back. No shouting, no grandstanding, just evidence, patiently arranged. The response was immediate and loud. A former conference official resigned by evening. A sponsor announced a policy review. Another referee issued a statement defending profession and then deleted it. The referee at the center released his own message late that night. "I categorically deny any bias. I am considering my options." Marcus read it once and closed the app. Denise called. "They're saying your name right," she said. "What does that mean?" Marcus asked. "It means they're not cutting corners anymore," she replied. He thought about the first clip, the crop, the freeze frame, the way context had been treated like clutter. That night, Marcus was invited onto a national show. Live, prime time. He agreed. Under studio lights, the host asked, "What does winning look like for you now?" Marcus took a breath. "Winning is when the next player doesn't have to prove this alone." The host pressed, "Do you forgive the officials who failed you?" Marcus paused. "Forgiveness comes after repair." Back at the apartment, Jamal clapped him on the back. "You didn't flinch." Marcus shrugged. "I flinched. I just didn't let it show." Later, alone, he opened his messages. There were hundreds. Support, hate, confession. One stood out. From an unknown number. "I was there that night. I didn't speak up. I'm sorry." Marcus stared at it for a long time. Then he typed back, "Next time matters more." By midnight, the conference announced an independent review. External auditors. Timeline forthcoming. Temporary became provisional. Provisional edged toward permanent. Marcus lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The story was bigger now. Bigger than him. Bigger than the game. That was the point. And the risk. He thought of the cost already paid. The nights of doubt. The friendships tested. He thought of the court. The sound of the net. The quiet after the shot. Winning, he realized, wasn't loud. It was structural. It was slow. It left scars. And it kept going long after the headlines moved on. The gym was quiet that morning. The bleachers empty. The echo of sneakers on polish were the only soundtrack. Marcus stepped onto court, alone at first, feeling the familiar weight of the ball in his hands. The leather smelled of sweat and wax, a scent that had always grounded him. He dribbled slowly, deliberately, listening to the hollow taps. Everything had changed, but nothing had. The suspension was over. The review had concluded. Policies were rewritten. Training modules were mandated. Public statements had been issued. The referee had been reassigned. Names of allies and whistleblowers had surfaced. Justice, in its procedural and legal form, had been delivered. Yet Marcus felt no celebration, only a quiet exhaustion that lingered like a shadow. Coach Daniels arrived, early as always. "You ready?" he asked, not smug, not cautious. Just a coach wanting his player back. Marcus nodded. "Let's start." The team filtered in slowly, some hesitant, some curious. Teammates approached him, offered brief nods, tentative smiles. Some words unspoken carried more weight than any congratulations. Jamal bounced the ball next to him. "Feels different, huh?" "Feels quiet," Marcus said, "like it's supposed to." Practice began. No announcements, no fanfare, just running, shooting, passing, the rhythm of the game reclaiming him. Each play, each dribble, each shot was a small reclamation of space that had once been denied. After a series of layups, Marcus paused, sweat sliding down his back. He looked across the court, noticing the subtle shifts, eyes that watched him more respectfully now. Gestures softened, whispers fewer. The current of acknowledgement ran through the room. It was not applause, not headlines, not viral clips. It was deeper. Later, the campus newspaper ran a feature on Marcus, not sensationalized, not accusatory, just truth laid out clearly. The incidents, the systemic failures, the patterns revealed, and the courage to speak. Comments flooded in, supportive, reflective, critical but informed. He didn't read them all. He didn't need to. He felt the presence of the truth, strong enough to stand without amplification. His mother came to visit that evening. Denise Reed had packed sandwiches and iced tea, sitting across from him in the small lounge off the gym. "You okay?" she asked, eyes scanning his face for signs of strain. Marcus nodded, letting the corners of his mouth lift slightly. "I am now." She studied him a moment, then smiled softly. "You did it. Not loud, but you did it. And you didn't just win for yourself." He looked at her. Some things can't be celebrated like trophies. Some victories you feel in the silence. The next morning, he arrived early again. The team was practicing, already warmed up. Marcus stood at the edge of the court, watching. He remembered the night of the game, the chant, the whistles, the viral clip. He remembered the fear, the uncertainty, the moments when silence had been demanded of him. And he remembered how he had chosen to break it, step by step, word by word, action by action. A freshman approached him timidly. "Marcus, can you show me how to shoot free throws like you do?" Marcus smiled, handing him a ball. "First, you feel the rhythm. Don't let anyone else set the pace for you." It was teaching without grandstanding, guidance without expectation of applause. The lesson carried more than technique. It carried resilience. Hours later, he sat alone in the locker room, tying his shoes, the weight of the day settling. Messages still arrived, some from reporters asking for reflections, some from players grateful for the example he had set. Marcus replied to only a few. Most he ignored. The headlines would fade. The social media clips would be cropped again, muted, misremembered. But the structural changes remained. Policies rewritten. Awareness raised. The silent voices have been amplified without turning them into spectacle. He picked up the ball, bouncing it slowly, listening, feeling. The echo returned, steady and constant. A reminder that victory was not always loud, not always dramatic, not always satisfying the ways a crowd might expect. Sometimes, winning was quiet, procedural, and lasting. He thought of the faces he had passed in the hallways, the hands that had patted him with hesitancy, the teammates who now included him naturally in conversation. It wasn't applause, but it was acknowledgement. It was validation. It was proof that standing firm, speaking truth, and enduring cause could produce real change. Marcus walked onto the court for another drill. The team followed. The day went on in ordinary rhythms, shots, passes, sprints. But Marcus carried a quiet triumph with him. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't seek the spotlight. He let the results speak for themselves. At the end of practice, he left the gym alone. Outside, The sky glowed with the soft light of late afternoon. He inhaled deeply, feeling the weight of tension lift just slightly, replaced by a calm that had been impossible weeks before. Justice had arrived, uneven and imperfect, but undeniable. The cost had been high, but so had the clarity. Marcus walked forward, understanding that winning wasn't about noise or fame. Winning was about truth, integrity, and the slow, quiet restoration of order where it had been denied. He tucked the ball under his arm, stepped onto the empty sidewalk, and walked home. The world was still flawed, the system still imperfect. But for the first time in a long time, Marcus felt the resonance of change, steady, real, and lasting.